I'm not going to lie, that starting lineup is probably the exact lineup I'd pick, apart from I'd have Porro instead of Emerson.
I was going to say, is that not a bit harsh on Porro? I thought he had. If anyone hasn't seen it, there's an article about him that the Athletic released this week about his redemption. Gary Neville spent the whole of the Sunday analysis slagging him off because he picked out those 2 clips really early on where Porro lost the ball high up the pitch to Mount. Porro had a great game against United. Like, am I the only one that thinks that? I thought he was actually had a really decent game.
No, I agree, Josh. I thought he had a good game, and in all this comes back. I said this 2-3 weeks ago, right? I said it a few weeks ago, and I said, watch our fullbacks thrive once they have a decent centre-back pairing holding fort in the middle.
Yeah.
I said a lot of the frailties and a lot of the issues are caused because we don't have good enough centre-backs. So unfortunately, that then feeds out to our wing-backs, right? Our full-backs. And yet suddenly we've got Van de Ven and Romero who look good. They look like a good centre-back pairing at the moment. Obviously, it's early days. We've only seen a couple of games, but they look to be a good pairing for us to rely on. And suddenly, when you've got that in the middle, suddenly you unleash your fullbacks. I mean, Udogie looks like if he carries on with the trajectory he's on at the moment, he may well be best left back in the league this season.
I agree. I think regarding that fullback position, I think Udogie's 100% all teams need to look out for. He's a frightening left back. I mean, we talk about the right back position as well. It's absolutely frightening to have Porro and Udogie on you from the get-go. Now, Liam, we haven't obviously asked you this kind of question, but regarding the fullback positions, are you so obviously you got Matt and Josh who are very much you should start Porro, and I understand from what I understand he's a better fullback than Emerson. But from my point of view, I say that I think Emerson. I always said Emerson depends on the midfielders that is in front of him. How do you see that fullback, more specifically that right back position, in your eyes? Who would you start, Porro or Emerson, or does it depend on the whole lineup in general?
So with Emerson, I think, and this has been shown the last 2 years, I think it just depends on the system that's played in front of him and the midfielder behind him, because this might be like an underrated comment. I don't know. I might get hate for this one, but I don't think I've ever seen Emerson more comfortable in the right back position than when he was on the side with Bissouma. I don't think I've seen a better performance from Emerson in the first 2 games of the season where he's been this comfortable on the ball. He's actually defending well. And I've been someone who's hated Emerson. I've never rated him personally, but he has changed my perspective this season, in the first 2 games and in preseason. But at the end of the day, I think Emerson's one of these players that if you put a midfielder right in front of him, like Bissouma, they're going to communicate on a well-rounded note, because Bissouma and Emerson kind of play the same way. They both like to hold the ball a little bit, and I know that's a part of the issue about being a fullback, because you can't hold on to the ball too long unless you have the inverted space on the wing. But I think with Porro, it just comes down to like his performance and his mentality, because Porro's put in fantastic performances last season, and he almost had his banger of a goal versus United that hit the crossbar. I think with Porro, I think he's a little bit quicker than Emerson, but I think we keep the system where we start Emerson, let him do his thing, play for 45 minutes, and then let Ainge change that system to play with Porro. So that way, both players, because I'm indecisive about who should be starting on the right back position.
Well, someone's sitting on the fence here. Someone's sitting on the fence here.
See,
it's a decent problem to have, though.
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay, go on.
Okay.
I feel like Emerson and Porro are two different right backs. Okay. Porro is a far more expressive attacking right back.
I agree with that.
And Emerson is a far more sort of defensive right back.
Conservative.
Okay. Yeah. And so I think games like this against Bournemouth, we should be playing Porro. I think there is a space for both right backs in our team.
Agreed.
And if we're going into a game where we're maybe thinking we're going to be a little bit tighter defensively, perfect. That's when Emerson steps in. But against a team like Bournemouth, bear in mind, Bournemouth play a very sort of attacking, flowing football themselves anyway. So they're not just, I know Josh mentioned it earlier, but I don't see them sitting in a low block. When have you ever seen Bournemouth sit in a low block? They just don't do it. It's not in their nature. And I don't think they're going to start now under Iraola, just because of how he is as a manager. And I feel his philosophy fits perfectly with Bournemouth, which is why he's such a great appointment. But no, I think in that situation, we want to be starting Porro. And we want to get Udogie and Porro flying up that wing, adding extra pressure, adding to the attack. And if we do that, we're going to be looking at probably 70% possession.
Yeah. No.
I think we have 70% possession.
Yeah.
And if Van de Ven and Romero can play a blinder, that I'm hoping them to do, I'm hoping them to be great. The reality is, my score prediction, I know I'm coming in a bit early with this, Josh. You're probably waiting for a little bit later.
All good.
My score prediction is 3-0.
Okay.
Udogie, Basuma and Lo Celso.